Hey everybody, thank you for coming to our session. It's wonderful to have you here today. So today we are going to talk about what many consider the big elephant in the room in the world of Gen AI. Understanding how to deploy Gen AI to deliver tangible business value. We all know that the path from concept to real business impact is long and challenging. However, it is achievable, and I'm very excited to have SIXT with me on stage today, a mobility service provider who will share how they transformed their customer service operations with Gen AI. But before we get started, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Maike. I work on Generative AI with different customers across Germany, and I brought Dominik with me, the Vice President of Data Science at SIXT, and Lingli, a colleague of mine who is responsible for our Gen AI go-to-market. Together, we want to shed some light on what you can do to deliver business value through Gen AI and share some of the learnings with you. So I will start and talk about different types of business values that we have seen across customers and typical challenges. Then you will learn from Dominik how SIXT has overcome these challenges. And to conclude, Lingli will talk about some of the key factors that we've seen you need in order to implement such use cases. When we look back 2.5 years ago, when the generative AI popcorn popped, everyone was exploring the technology. And 2023 was the year of POCs for many customers. Everyone wanted to understand, what is the technology? How can we use this? Is this secure? And by 2024, some of these POCs went into production. So new challenges arose, like the prioritization of projects and the reduction of costs. So this was for many the year of production. And by 2025, one question started emerging, and it grew louder and louder every month. What is my business value? How can I measure this? And what is my return on my investments? Maybe before I move on, let me ask you a question. Who of you has a Gen AI use case in production? Please raise your hands. Awesome, I can see a few hands. Keep it raised if you also managed to achieve and measure the business impact. Oh, I can see a few. Congratulations. Remember those hands? Chase them down after the session and talk to them. But when I talk about business value, what does this actually mean? So, when I talk about this, we have seen that many customers struggle with measuring and quantifying the value they get from their AI investments. Usually because they are only looking for a financial, a monetary return. However, the problem is not all value created by AI can be described with a concrete euro figure. In fact, in order to have a complete picture of how valuable your AI use case portfolio is, you need to look at different types of returns. It's not just about the financial value, like a return on invest. There's also a value for your employees and a value for your future business. And just like with any other investment portfolios, different priorities between these will lead to different outcomes. Let me give you an example. First, let's look at the use case portfolios that prioritize the financial value over the others, visualized by this triangle here. Here, your focus is on enhancing your existing business processes with AI to differentiate yourself and achieve a high return on invest. This doesn't mean that you won't be able to get value from the other dimensions, but it will be less if you choose this priority. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are an insurance company and you want to enhance your claims process with AI. In this case, you have a lot of domain knowledge about the specific workflow. You have skilled employees who know how this works, so they will be able to make pretty good estimations what the financial benefit would be with those AI improvements. So you can hold them to these numbers. Now, let's look at the outcome if you want to prioritize safeguarding your talent in order to stay competitive. In this case, your AI portfolio puts the value for your employees relatively over the others. This case is a little tricky though. since many customers invested into these everyday AI tools like Amazon Q, Microsoft's Copilot, or Google's Gemini. And at some point, your CFO will say, hey, you invested into this tool, you spent this much money. What is the other big number, this wonderful monetary upside that I get? And there isn't one. This is a cost center. It's like asking what's the return on invest on email. You just need it. This doesn't mean, though, that users don't feel a return. Actually, there is a return. It might not be able to quantify this in a concrete euro figure, but you could measure this with employee well-being or more efficiency for your employees. And then there's the third type of business value, the future business value. Imagine you're an e-commerce company and you want to use AI to disrupt the shopping experience for your customers. Here you want to be first. You want to be the one who changes the industry and the rules of how AI is used. So you place big strategic bets and you just don't know yet if it will turn out well for you. So with this priority, you have to accept that you're taking a high risk and you won't be able to quantify your returns for a long time. So different priorities will lead to different outcomes. How you want to invest in your AI use case portfolio depends on various factors like your strategy, your risk appetite, your skills and resources to implement such use cases, and also on your time horizon for realizing these returns. We're not saying it's easy, but it will give you a better direction where you're going as a company. And now let's hear a real-life story from Dominic about how SIXT is managing its AI investment and their success in realizing business value with Gen AI.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Maike. And I'm happy to give now an overview how define, how do we achieve a SIXT those kind of values. First of all, I'd like to give a short wrap-up SIXT and AWS. Then, as the main part, I will go into the project AIR, how we call it, our project on customer service transformation. And finally, share what are our lessons learned, what are success factors that we see. Now, when we are coming to SIXT, and SIXT itself has a good brand awareness, but two topics I would like to highlight. First of all, last year we had 4 billion, more than 4 billion as revenue. And as you can see, it's a clear growth path. Now, growth is for us really a kind of destiny. Otherwise, we got eaten by others. So we really have to grow profitable. And that is also one of the key motivations for that project. I will get back to this in a few minutes. And secondly, what is also very important when we are coming to customer service, we have a variety of different products. In its core, it's the rental. It's a rental business, rent a car or rent the car. But besides, we also have other products like subscription, SIXT Share, as you can also use here in Hamburg, SIXT Charge when you want to charge your electric vehicle, or also SIXT Ride as a premium taxi service. And further on, van and truck. That certainly also means for customer service, there's a variety of questions and there's a complexity that needs to be handled. Now, when it comes to AWS and SIXT, then I would like to start with a quote from our chairman of the supervisory board, Erich SIXT. He said some time ago, SIXT actually is a software company with associated car rental. And indeed, we invest a lot into tech. And as you can see, the collaboration with AWS goes back more than 10 years. Over that journey, we migrated all our processes, all our systems into the cloud. And from an AI and machine learning perspective, we have there more than 100 models that are running in production. Actually, several hundreds that are running in production. What does it mean now for the project AIR? And AIR actually is an abbreviation for AI-based replies. AI-based replies in customer service, that is the way how the journey started. Now, what is the why? What is the motivation behind this project? Actually, there are three key topics. First, I mentioned already profitable growth. That's something we want to support and enable, which also means you have to foster your workloads, you have to cope with them, and also with scarcity on people, it's important to enable growth by automation. So that's number one, enabling profitable growth. Then clearly customer excitement. We want to have a good experience for the customer, actually a better experience for the customer. And that's second very important topic. And number three is also unburden employees from routine tasks, also supporting our people that they can grow and develop. And that are three important whys behind that project. Now, when we look what are kind of questions, what are kind of requests our customer service is faced every day, then we see a variety. There are sales-related questions. Can you offer me a vehicle for pickup, for instance, here in Hamburg? There are questions related to, for instance, documents which I have to bring with me when I want to pick up the vehicle, what kind of driver license is accepted when I go to a foreign country. And then certainly also administrative questions, for instance, when a B2B customer needs the invoices and has a request related to this. Further on, as you can also see on the examples here, the questions are posed in different languages. We have customers from all over the world, and certainly it's most convenient for them to put the question also in their mother language. What does this mean, and how can generative AI help now to improve here? There are different aspects that you have to address for solving this. Number one, you have to understand what is really the intent, what is the request of the customer, what does he want to get solved. And therefore, for us, classification of the requests is important. So we are speaking there different case types, case reasons, etc. And it is also crucial for routing it in a manual to the right support agent team, but also for automation it's important, because then you understand what are the kind of systems, what is the kind of flow you would like to go, or what's the kind of AI agent that can help best here. Secondly, we want to support and help the human customer service agents, for instance, by summaries or also extracting certain information that is helpful for them. And finally, we want to automate the workloads, in that case, email responses, but also when it comes to messaging or further on to voice, so covering the different channels. What is needed for that, and what does this mean in terms of requirements? Certainly, when you want to answer questions of the customers, you have to be aware of the processes, you have to be aware of the knowledge behind, and also the AI systems have to be aware of this. So you need a clear and well-structured data set of related to the different inquiries. Secondly, as you can imagine, when you want, for instance, to change a reservation, then you have to integrate with different systems. You have to integrate, for instance, with a reservation system. So a seamless integration with different back-end systems is crucial. And very important when it comes to GenAI, especially when it's customer-facing GenAI, you need a proper evaluation. You need to understand, are the answers at a level, are the replies at a level, is the quality at a level that can be exposed to a customer? And you also want to monitor it moving further on. Now, let us go a bit deeper into the three aspects, so classification, summaries, and then also how do automation workflows look like. First of all, we go to the classification, and on the example here of email, but it's similar also for other channels, you get the email, and then first of all, you would like to understand, is it something, so to which kind of process is it related? Is it something during the rental? Is it before the rental? Is it after the rental? And then there are more sub-levels, more subcategories. For instance, during the rental, does a customer want to change the return time, which needs to be addressed in a certain way. Now, what we have seen that with a out-of-the-box solution, the accuracy was not at the level that we needed. It was only around 70%, and that means a huge amount of manual reclassifications. A couple of people only sitting there, leading also to longer waiting times for customers until they get the reply. With the help of Amazon Bedrock and the Anthropic Cloud Sonnet model, we were able to improve that accuracy to more than 90%, which really helped us a lot. And interestingly, by this we were also able to reduce the costs for that classification task to 30%, so meaning a 70% reduction of the costs related to this. And also further changes are much easier implemented. So that is step one in that process. Now, when we come to supporting the agents, what can we do there? You see here a screen from Salesforce Service Cloud. And what we implemented there, on the left lower corner, you see the classification. So that is from the step before what was handled. Then on the left upper side, you see certain information is extracted. What is, for instance, the reservation number, what is the sentiment of the customer, and also a summarization of the main topics there. And on the right side, according to the email that we received, already a reply is generated, a reply proposal, which the human agent in that case can review. For cases where we are already confident and see a sufficient quality, even that process is then automated and the email is sent back completely automatically. Now, when we are going more into that automation, I also would like to show what are possibilities with a chatbot integration that we executed there. And let's look here in the case of a customer that is going to our web page and has a question, where do I find the Diamond launch at Munich Airport? He types in the chatbot that question, then it goes to our systems. The answer is generated and a Google Maps link is shared with the customer so that he or she can see how to find it. Now there's a further question. What documents are needed for picking up the vehicle? In that case, behind the knowledge is retrieved and a link also, the answer is sent, what kind of documents are needed, and it's sent back including the link. Further on, the request to change the reservation. In that case, the customer is sent to a self-service page where he can directly adjust it on his or her own. In that case, the time was adjusted and the customer resolved his request with the help of the chatbot. If it's not possible to resolve it completely automatically, then we have there a handover process in the possible to human agents. How does the architecture behind this look like? And I have here a kind of stream on the example again of email. You can think of this, that email is intaken, then it goes into the first classification process where again the Bedrock models are utilized, and depending on that, different automation flows or reply generation flows can be triggered. On the example of that terms and conditions question, which documents do I have to bring for pickup, the corresponding knowledge base is then utilized for retrieving the knowledge and then generating by the corresponding large language model an answer that is then shared with that agent. Good. What's the impact of this? And coming back to Maike, what are the values that we see here? First, it's related to customer excitement. Also, what do we want to achieve here? Clearly, an enhanced customer experience, especially by reduced waiting times. When you have workloads automated, then the response is given much faster. But also ensuring consistency. You can imagine with more than 100 countries where customers can pick up vehicles or where they are also coming from different countries. Ensuring a consistency is not easy, and there definitely GenAI can also help. Further on, operational efficiency. I gave that example of the classification where we significantly increased the efficiency. And the same certainly also applies when we are coming to automation use cases. And for the team, as I mentioned, unburden from routine tasks, the service agents is one topic, but also upskilling them in utilizing GenAI application and supporting by this employee growth. How does the journey look like? And what is the kind of timeline? Actually, we have to go back roughly 2 years for this. It was May 2023 when we had the idea and said, okay, with the challenges that we have in customer service, GenAI could help. It could be a lever to support our reaching our objectives. And then we exchanged with the AWS colleagues on this. We defined the scope and then finally agreed on a joint prototyping. The AWS prototyping team supported us in this. And within a time frame of 6 weeks, we tackled the first piece of the AI reply generation use case. And within other months, we were then able to put this already live in the production system, meaning that in September 2023, the first use case here was productive. Now, that was done with the previous systems that we used there. And it's called NovoMind. And we already had there in mind to migrate them to the Salesforce Service Cloud. Nevertheless, we did it by purpose to also gain experience with, at that time, relatively new technique of GenAI. And now coming to quarters in Q4 2023 and first quarter 2024, we did that migration to Salesforce Service Cloud and integrated AI. Then we thought, okay, we can proceed with our automation workflow or with our automation use cases, but we found out the classification accuracy was not at the point as I have mentioned before. Therefore, we had to go one step back, and we did that classification in another quarter, and then we were able to proceed with automation. Now in Q1 2025, we launched the messaging, we launched the chatbot, rolled it out in Q2 to all corporate countries, and are utilizing the Cognigy platform also for this, combined with our own GenAI platform. Good. And maybe as an outlook, definitely, as I mentioned before, going in the direction of further automation use cases, going in the direction of voice is what we have there on our agenda. What are lessons learned? Few topics here. Definitely the insight into the business process is crucial. For us, it was key to understand how many percentage of customer requests are coming to a certain use case. So for instance, changing the reservation. That allowed us to prioritize the cases accordingly and start with the most impactful case first. Definitely the stakeholder buy-in is crucial. When you do such a project, it's more than a project, it's a transition, then you also have change management and you need the stakeholder buy-in of all involved people. Integration with different systems is very important. And for this, we are also very thankful to the very good collaboration with the platform team that also helps us here in integrating the GenAI services to our backend systems. And market alignment. There are a lot of developments by AWS, but also by partners. And we are always asking ourselves, how does it converge? Where should we focus our development capacity so that we don't develop something that is coming 1 month later by AWS or some other supplier? Where does it really make sense that we put our focus? And finally, robust evaluation. As I mentioned, especially with GenAI, you don't see it just in one number. You have to think about the evaluation strategy to ensure that the quality is at a sufficient level. And with those kind of business and organizational success drivers, I would like to hand over to Ling Li for the technical success drivers.
Thank you. So, you've heard that from Dominic. SIXT managed to transform their customer service, brought generative AI from ideation into tangible business value within 5 months of time. And not only did they improve internal productivity, also they positioned generative AI in customer-facing services and products. We learned that Amazon Bedrock played a key role in the solution design. So what are some of the other key drivers for their success? The first one, not a big surprise, models. The models have been in the center of attention since day one of generative AI. But something has changed. In the beginning, everyone was looking for the best model that built on the largest parameters to solve all the business challenges, all the use cases. So that mindset has shifted. Nowadays, most of the customers are looking for the model that fits best for the particular use case. Meaning model choice matters and hybrid model matters. That's why an Amazon Bedrock service, you can find the broadest selection of leading foundational models. You can find the models for Amazon Nova models, also Anthropic, Claude models, not to mention models from Meta, Mistral AI, and so on. And if these models are still not the best one for your use cases, you can always go to Amazon Bedrock Marketplace, where you can find over 100 popular, emerging, and specialized foundational models. Maybe some of you are going to ask, what about my own customized models? That's also possible using the custom model import function. All of a sudden, we have a lot of choices, right? So how to decide which is the best model for your use case? Different than traditional machine learning algorithm, where it's always designed to solve a specific use case or challenge, foundational models have some more dimensions to consider. Some of the models are more intelligent. They can do code generation or complex reasoning. Some does content summarization and generation. And those models can take longer, higher latency, because simply the large amount of text they need to process or tokens. And some of the models, if you're going to use them in the custom interaction, in real time, or fraud detection, they need to be fast, lower latency. And when it comes to cost, if you want to position GenAI, use those models in your customer-facing apps, meaning if you have thousands of millions of end users, of course, the cost is going to be higher. But if you use it for internal productivity gain or batch processing, then costs can be lower. Not to mention, some of the model, you can actually fine-tune it, change the parameters, change the weights, and some of them is proprietary. You can only use it as it is. So how can you make an informed decision based on data? Which model to use? We can help you with that. At Amazon Bedrock model evaluation feature, you can simply choose and evaluate and compare amongst different models. You can use automatic evaluation or human evaluation, bring your own data sets, your own matrix. And one of the latest features is actually you can use large language model as a judge, but still give you that human-like evaluation result with the quantitative data that you can rely on to make that informed decision. Now, you select the best model for that particular use case. What's next? What's needed still? Of course, data. Data is the lifeblood of a production-ready AI system. And why is that? Because if you ask a large language model as it is, hey, what's the weather like right now in Hamburg? It's going to tell you, sorry, I don't know, because I don't have access to real-time data system, real-time weather system. Because large language model, by default, only knows about the information it has been trained on. That's why it's very important to customize those models, give them the context from your own domain, your own knowledge, your own business. When I say customizing those models, it does not really mean have to be changing the model itself fundamentally. So there are different ways to go about it. The first method or approach, we call it retrieval augmented generation, known as RAG. So for RAG approach, you simply give your domain data as a context to a large language model. You don't need to change the underlying models. The model will be able to find the answer from your domain and provide you that answer. But if this approach doesn't give you that accuracy or performance that you're looking for, you can go one step further. Fine-tuning or continued pre-training. So in this case, you do need to give the model a lot more data, whether it's labeled, unlabeled, structured, unstructured, to train those models, make it smarter at answering those questions coming from your domain, have better accuracy. In this approach, data, of course, matters a lot, and you will need to change the underlying model parameters and weights. The third approach, maybe you don't only want the large language model to grab the data, but also act actions for you. For example, if you want your GenAI app to be able to book a trip for you, or send out a marketing campaign email for you automatically, then comes to agentic AI, the buzzword of the year. So you need AI agent to be able to interact with your data and take action for you. And all of this, you need to take care, bring out the best price performance. So how do we start? Say that if you want to go with, RAG, retrieval augmented generation, the first thing you need to make sure that data is already there. Nowadays in enterprise, you don't only have text data. The data typically are multimodal. That means you have image data, you can have sound, you can have videos, right? So how can you let large language model know about images and videos and sound? As an example, if you process an invoice and get those data automatically, how can you go about that? Amazon Bedrock data automation feature can help you. Simply upload those invoices. We will have an AI-generated blueprint to automatically extract those key attributes together with its value, confidence value. And if you don't like the results, you can always change the prompts, change the blueprint, have your own customized blueprint to get the necessary data that you want. Data automation really transforms those unstructured data into a tabular form, the structured format, so you can analyze it further. A lot of customers have been using this feature since it's G8, and especially use it for intelligent document processing. And now you got the data ready. So you can start with your approach. Say the first one is RAG. How do you implement a RAG solution at scale? So Amazon Bedrock knowledge bases can help you there. We provide fully managed support for end-to-end RAG workflow. That means that you don't need to design the custom data interactions. We will do that for you, from data retrieval, also to augment those prompts. And we'll give you those data, even tell you where do we get those data from, give you that data source. So very easy to implement a RAG workflow, at enterprise scale. Now, one step further, we mentioned about agents. You want models to take action for you, right? Or solve complex tasks. In order for an agent to work, it needs to first be able to talk to a large language model. Also, it needs to be able to take actions in terms of calling different APIs, functions. It needs to have a memory. It needs to run in the loop autonomously. And also, we need to make sure it's evaluated properly. So there are still a lot of things as a developer you need to take care. But the good news is Amazon Bedrock agents provide a lot of managed capability out of the box. For example, a choice of foundation models you can choose from. We've got action groups and workflows that can help you orchestrate, those API calls. Also, memory management is built in, whether it's temporary or long-term memory, not to mention, multi-agent collaboration possibility for your complex workflow, and to make sure that debugging, tracing, guardrails, and security are in place. Great. Now you choose the model, you got your data ready, you build an MVP, and it's working. So what could be the next success driver or challenge? Like Mike mentioned, your C-level would like to see two numbers. One is the return, but the other one is the cost. So cost is something that you need to consider and manage properly. And especially if your organization do not have the need to fine-tune or build your models from scratch, you don't really have a lot of training costs. So most of the costs with a large language model are coming from inference, means when your solution is actually running in production. And that is also why it's often ignored, because in POC stage, it's not in production, the cost is very small. So how can we optimize that? From licensing side, Bedrock offers different options. The first one is on-demand. If you're building a small workload or just POC, go with that, because it's no commitment, pay as you go. Second option, provision throughput. If you are running a large workload in production that you want to have the guaranteed capacity and sufficient, provision throughput, that's the one you should go for. But if your workload doesn't have to be running in real time, and batch inference is best because it can actually save you up to 50% cost compared to on-demand. So this is from the licensing side. There are also some of the latest technical features you can help to further improve the price performance. The first one is model distillation. So simply put, imagine you have a large model, expensive, smart, accurate, powerful. But then you have a smaller model. It's fast, but less accurate and intelligent. So what you can do here, you use model distillation to teach the student model to learn from the teacher model, the large model, to get that intelligence, get that accuracy, but still remain small, agile, and price performant. One way to, improve the price performance. Second option here is prompt caching. So if you have a lot of complex prompts, we'll just cache it, so next time when it comes out the same question, you can answer quickly. The third one is my personal favorite, so intelligent prompt routing. The name is long, but imagine your AI app is going to function like a brain. So if you were asked today, hey, what's your name? You're going to answer very quickly. But if you're asked to write a strategy document or sing a song, different parts of the brain is going to be activated, right, to answer that question. That's the same intention here. With intelligent prompt routing, we can automatically route your prompts to select the best model to answer that question, to give you the best quality answer and lower the cost in the meantime. So lots of features to consider. Now you also consider about cost and how to optimize it. But before you hit that green button to go to production, some of you may get an email or call from compliance security department and say, hey, I've got some questions you need to answer first. Exactly. Trust. And this is a very crucial piece. A lot of customers are asking us this type of questions when they are going to build a secure, responsible GenAI app, such as, how are you going to make sure that my user data, PII data, are going to be protected? Are you going to use my data to train a model? How are we going to ensure that the interactions with your model is going to be isolated and secured? And what about consistent data and network security controls? And how are we going to make sure that we can protect the app from harmful topics and it will be used in a compliant way? And not to mention authentication and authorization. These are some of the exact questions were asked by European Parliament. EU Parliament wanted to provide better accessibility for their 2 million archived documents. And in the end, they chose AWS. They chose the Anthropic Claude models on Amazon Bedrock services, built a cutting-edge chatbot named Archibot. With that, they could answer user questions, from those 2 million documents a lot easier and quicker. One of the features they really like is Amazon Bedrock guardrails. With guardrails, this building security control, it can block harmful content up to 85% and also reduce hallucinated answer by 75%. And the best thing is, you don't need to do a single line of coding. So you can just use the UI and set up a consistent policy in making sure that your GenAI app will be used in a secure and trustful way. And if you want to use SDK, that's also possible. And even if you're not using the models within the Bedrock, you can still use the guardrail service. There we go. So that's the 4 key drivers for success. Model choice matters. Data is going to be your business differentiator. And manage the cost, training and inference. Trust is non-negotiable. So what are you still waiting for? Select the right use cases like SIXT, and empower your teams, upskill them. We do have a lot of certifications online and trainings. One of my personal favorite is the GenAI practical GenAI certification. And start your POC, and we're here to help. I'm sure you've seen this slide before. Visit the security area because we're going to launch the European Sovereign Cloud by the end of this year. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for your attention and share with us your feedback.